Yo, 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 what it is, people, we is back. Another day on Keep It G News. And today, we got to talk about or elaborate on a conversation that we had yesterday. And it was all centered around this coverage of Durk. Now, if you've been following me or Keep It G News for a while, y'all know my stance whenever it comes down to these cases. There's going to be a lot of misinformation going on. There's going to be a lot of false narratives being painted. And you got to be real particular who you take your information from. And one of the guys I crowned as one of the guys that you need to watch who you take your information from is Traplore Ross. Now, if you're not familiar with Traplore Ross is from the UK. He got his name from labeling King Von a demon and a serial killer and a host of other things. So after he got this uprise with this King Von being the serial killer narrative, he continued on that path. He did videos on Jacksonville murders. He put 19 bodies on NBA Youngboy. He did a lot. Now, when it comes down to Durk case, we all know Durk is arrested. Murder for hire, murder by stalking. We see the case, I covered the case extensively. We see how the federal government been playing. They lied in indictments. You see how they've been playing. They've been playing dirty the whole trial. Now, Traplore Ross, like I said, who is from the UK, decided to cover the trial in court. And I don't like it. In that video yesterday, I explained why I don't like it. But Traplore Ross is continuing to cover the case. And as he's covering the case, he's running across hurdles.
Can I ask you a question? When you gonna stop doing the police job, bro?
I just heard the police doing their job.
Nah, bro, you be doing police job. Hell nah, bro. And they be doing police work. Nah, for real though. But you gotta stop talking about people murder trials like that, bro. That shit fucked up. Free Smirk, bro. Hey, you say that, at least?
Bro, keep moving.
Free Smirk? Bro, you ain't nobody. I can talk all I want. Huh? So what though? I'm not committing no crime though. Huh? I'm not. I'm just saying, you taking a picture of bro, but you know what he be on. You know what I mean? Just say free.
The fact that there's a black man trying to take a picture with Traplore Ross is crazy. The fact that it is a black man bodyguarding Traplore Ross is crazy. I don't like none of it. Because Traplore Ross doesn't really care for black people. Allegedly. And to me, it's obvious. The way he coins himself as a hip-hop historian. What you want to call him? A fan of the music. But fans of the music don't want their artists going to prison. And the videos that Traplore Ross does is geared toward these rappers going to prison. So how are you a fan? If your favorite rapper go to prison, there's no more music. We just going to bump the old hits. Traplore Ross, I believe, is the biggest culture vulture that we have in this culture of hip-hop. And it's crazy to me, y'all, because, black people aren't enamored with anyone else's culture. We don't care about what's going on in the white community, the Asian community, the Chinese community, the Indian. We do not care about none of that. But for some reason, we got all these outsiders willing to die to see or know or just be able to speak on what's happening in the black community. And the reason I don't like it is because they don't have no connection to the community. That's why their coverage is so flawed. Traplore Ross covers this Durk situation like it's just a story, not recognizing that these are people's real lives. This is Durk life. This is the victims' lives. This is families that's going to be affected no matter how it goes. But Traplore Ross decided to speak on this last encounter. I want y'all to hear what he had to say.
There's a video going around that shows me apparently getting pressed outside the courthouse for the Lil Durk trial. Now, I wanted to address it and a couple other very weird things that have been going on and just let everybody know the truth behind these things that are going around. So yes, some weird dude did approach me outside the courthouse. If you saw the clip, you'll see that I'm smiling because I did actually find the whole interaction funny. The guy came up to me and was like, why are you doing police stuff? Why won't you say free Lil Durk? Now, the reason I found this interaction pretty hilarious, and as I said, I'm like, bro, the feds, you say I'm the feds, the feds are inside, right? I see, like, when you go in the courtroom, we see the feds, like the actual feds. They're in the courtroom prosecuting Durk. They got a whole bunch of evidence that I had never seen before, no one's ever seen before. They're going deeper than any video, any research that I've ever done, anything that academics has ever done. It's just hilarious to me that people are like, yo, you the feds. And for you to ask such a dumb question outside of the courthouse where the feds are inside, like, bro, we all just seen the feds. The feds was there. But I do want to say something a little bit more serious, because that was actually the third time that somebody has kind of tried to interfere with my reporting outside of the courthouse. There was a really weird interaction. You might have seen in one of my videos where a very weird guy is kind of in the background. He keeps getting in the video. I'm trying to block him out. I sort of ask him what he's doing. He says, oh, what video? Now, I actually approached this person afterwards. I said, who are you? Like, what are you doing? I was polite, but also I was like, what are you doing? They wouldn't tell me their name. They wouldn't give me any info. Now, they didn't look like a complete crackhead. They weren't well dressed, but they weren't dressed in like tattered rags like a homeless guy in downtown LA might usually be. And that made me very suspicious, because it made me think, okay, this seems like a proper person. And I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit paranoid. I started to think like, oh man, I hope someone hasn't been sent down here to mess with my reporting and to interfere with, my transparent reporting on the justice process. Now, unfortunately, the following day, that guy approached me, and, I didn't really take it to heart. I laughed it off at the time, but at the end of the day, he was trying to intimidate me. He was kind of making threats to my security, my friends that I've made at the courthouse, acting like he was going to do something to them, which I really don't respect. I think it's wrong to kind of try and act tough and try and press me. And look, I don't claim to be a tough guy. I'm not here to fight. And if you think you're going to have a fight in front of a federal court building, that's cool. And you're probably going to end up being in there with Durk. But there was also another person that tried to interfere with my reporting. They pulled up with a mask on, which I thought was quite intimidating, and a speaker to try and ruin my video. Now, I trimmed that out of the video, but at this point, I do think it's really unfortunate, because all of these people that are trying to meddle in what I'm doing, you're making things worse for Lil Durk. The judge already admonished people for handing out leaflets saying free Durk in the courtroom. I wouldn't be surprised if the judge found out that people were outside trying to intimidate people into saying free Durk, that he would be really upset. And this really isn't a good look for Durk. I don't think Durk's team are happy about the stuff that's going on. I know that for a fact. And I just want to let everybody know, anybody that's doing that stuff, you're making it worse for Durk.
Y'all get what I'm saying? Why the guy that approached him had to be a bum or homeless? You understand? Why is those the words that you're using in that context? And I guarantee if we was to see this guy, he probably don't look homeless to me. This is just more borderline racist talking points by Traplore Ross, because those are his true feelings about the people that he covers. He want all these rappers in jail. He want them all in jail. Me, I say let the criminal justice do what the criminal justice do. Report on the case, report on it honestly, give fair, accurate information on both sides. But it seems like with Traplore Ross, he covers these guys, make money off these guys' lives and history, but at the same time, if they get arrested for the stuff that he's talking about in his videos, not saying that they're being arrested for his videos, even though we've seen cases where the federal government got information off Traplore Ross' page. Jacksonville, Julio Fudo murder comes to mind. But he covers these cases and makes money off these guys. But when these guys get arrested, he sides with the government. He sides with the state. It's like, yo, you can't be a fan of the music. Like I said, listen to the words that he used to describe this guy that approached him. He could have said anything. But homeless? And if that's not enough detail, enough information for you to see what I'm saying, look at this coverage that he had of Lord Durk just a day or two ago.
All right, so I'm here at the federal courthouse in LA. I just got out of the last Lil Durk hearing before he goes to trial, and they brought up something that is pretty harrowing. So this is the first time that we've heard that prosecutors actually want to use... It's so sad to say it, because I went through this with the David situation, but they want to use autopsy images from the coroner of Lil Pab after he was killed. Now, obviously, these are going to be really gruesome images. Now, we haven't seen these images. They were basically arguing about whether or not they should be included. Now, naturally, Durk's defense team, they're trying to fight against this being used. They really don't want these grisly autopsy photos to be included in court. They're saying that it's prejudicial and, you know, it's basically going to go way beyond proving that this murder happened. They're sort of saying, look, we know that he was shot. We know that the murder took place. Why do you need to show all of these grisly, you know, images and things like that? But what's key is that the prosecution is saying, look, these autopsy images are key in showing how the victim died. We want to be able to see, you know, more than just the fact that he died by gunfire, but literally, you know, the actual details about where the bullets went, you know, the state of the body, how bad this situation was. And, you know, they basically went back and forth. They were arguing about several different autopsy pictures that they actually have. Certain ones are more graphic than others. The judge said that he definitely didn't want to show the victim's face. And what's really interesting is that they said in regard to the actual clip, you know, the footage, surveillance footage of the shooting that's going to be used, they basically said that all they have is like 2 seconds, all right? The shooting footage, it's apparently black and white. It literally just shows 2 seconds of the guys bailing out the car, shooting up the car, and Quando's car speeding off. It doesn't really show much. It's just black and white, 2 seconds, the shooting at the car, and then the victim fleeing. And the feds are basically saying, look, without the pictures of Pab's wounds from the autopsy and from the medical examiner, who will be testifying, by the way, they aren't really able to get across to the jury what happened. They're saying that the video evidence isn't enough. And it's kind of a bit of an admission. I mean, obviously they believe their case is very strong, but they're kind of admitting, well, the video of the shooting isn't really enough. We need to show this autopsy stuff. You know, Brian Steele basically said, look, we're not going to attack or challenge what the medical examiner is going to use. They also said that they're going to be using photos from the scene as well as body cam footage from the first responders, which is obviously going to be very, very serious. And Brian Steele basically kept arguing that, look, there's just no need for the autopsy photos to be included. Now, that was one of the things that the judge basically kind of said that he was having open to submission. I know there's been a lot of controversy about me saying things that the judge indicated that he would rule on without him ruling them. He's not ruled on these autopsy photos being put across, but by the way the judge was talking, I'm just going to give you my opinion. It sounded like the judge didn't want the jury to have to go through those gruesome autopsy pictures. It sounded like the judge was probably leaning towards Durk's side on that. And as I saw in the David case, when autopsy photos were shown, it was just horrific. It was really, really uncomfortable.
So the federal government is trying to introduce autopsy photos to show to the jury. And to me, knowing what I know about criminal cases, that's standard. Not harrowing, like the picture Traplore Ross is trying to paint to the world. You understand what I'm saying? The words that he used shows you where he lies with this situation. You could have said everything about the whole situation and kept it neutral. But harrowing, when we know in most criminal cases where a victim is murdered, there are autopsy photos shown. Even if it's at a limited capacity, it's shown. It's not nothing to ring an alarm. It's not something that doesn't happen normal. It is standard procedure, standard protocol. So it shouldn't have been covered in that light. I just wanted to do this video, y'all, because I think a lot of people are confused as to why some of us don't like him being there. Me in particular. Because he don't really care. Y'all understand? Yo, we care about these guys as a community for their artistic talent, because a lot of us can sympathize with this situation on either side, whether you the suspect or the victim. We got family members that been preyed on by the system. We know what happens when a person catches life in prison and how it affects the people that care about them. This is not a game. We know what happens when a person is murdered and the family got to deal with the grief and the agony and the court process that comes along with a murder trial. But these guys cover these cases like it's all a game to them, because in a way it is, because they don't have any connection to these people at all. Not by relation or by situation and circumstance. And one more thing. Yo, what makes these people think that everybody's scared of jail? Like, yo, that is like the culture vulture talking point. Whenever you got a situation, like they never address the way that they move, because they ain't changing it. They never say, you know what, I'm going to try to do better. I'm going to try to be more fair in my coverage of the situation. Maybe I am painting Durk out to be bigger and badder and worse than what he is. Because at the end of the day, y'all, this is all some street shit. You get me? Like, from what we understand, everybody that's involved in any situation that's surrounding Durk name was all people that was involved in the streets. And we know how this shit go. It ain't like we talking about civilians or women or children. You understand what I'm saying? We talking about people that at some point in their life decided this the route I'm willing to go. That's how that goes. You understand? And in this game that all these guys are playing, I played it at one point. It's going to be wins and some losses. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to the criminal justice system, all we ask for is a fair shake. And it's almost impossible to get a fair chance when you got bloggers like a DJ Academics and the Traplore Ross that got millions of people following them. And they just pushing rhetoric. They pushing lies. They combing through lyrics, misinterpreting them. They putting crimes and charges on their neck. Like, it is disgusting. And then the same person go to court and you think that we can trust you to give us accurate and detailed information and be non-biased? But the first thing they do whenever they get called out, like what happened with Traplore Ross, when a guy approached them, the minute you hear him speak on it, oh, you don't want to go to jail. If it's in front of a federal building, hey, yo, let me tell y'all something, right? Everybody not scared of jail, man. Fed, state, it's still jail. You understand? Only thing changes the dynamics, you know. And the feds, they send you a little bit further. You know, they play games with the rules. You understand? It's severely one-sided when it comes down to a federal case and the evidence and the rules that they gotta follow or don't follow in certain situations. But the minute these guys, like a Charleston White, a Traplore Ross, a DJ Academics, get called out for some fuck shit or get approached, the first thing they talking is fucking jail. Prison. Yo, but everybody not scared of that, man. And I'm one of them ones that say, yo, if you believe in something strongly enough, you gotta take what come with it. But let me know how y'all feel about it in the comments. It's another day of Keep It G News, and I'm out.